asked. "This know what happened?"
"I told you, sir. I had other customers."
"Your other customers can wait. Be ye daft as well as clumsy?" "Do you know who I am?" Donald asked. "Donald Summerlet. That is my fiancée you're talking to. And if you speak harshly to her again, I will pull your tongue out of your mouth and hand it to you," Duff said, barely controlling his voice. So intense was his anger. "We'll be seeing who is handing who their tongue," Donald said, hitting his open hand with his club. Duff put his mug on the bar, then stepped away to face Donald. "I'm at your service," he said. With a defiant yell, Donald charged Duff, not with his fists, but with the raised club. Duff grabbed the same bar stool he had been sitting on and raised it over his head to block the downward swing of the club. The clack of wood crashing against wood filled the entire pub with a crack almost as loud as a gunshot. The noise got the attention of everyone in the bar, and all conversation stopped as they turned to watch the confrontation between a MacCallister and a Summerlet. Donald raised his staff for a second try, but as he held his club aloft, MacCallister turned the stool around and slammed the seat into Donald's chest so hard that he let out a loud whoosh as he fell to the floor with the breath knocked from his body. "You'll be paying for that, Duff MacCallister," Alexander said, and even as Donald writhed on the floor trying to recover his breath, his older brother charged Duff. Duff tossed the bar stool aside, then put up his fists to meet Alexander's charge. He parried a wild roundhouse right, then countered with a straight left that landed on Alexander's chin, driving him back. With a yell of anger, the third of the Summerlet brothers, Roderick, joined the fray. Duff backed up against the bar, thus preventing either of them from getting behind him. He sent a whistling blow into Roderick's nose and felt it break, causing the big man to grab his nose and turn away from the fight. Now only Alexander was left, but he was the biggest and the most dangerous of the three. Shaking off the blow to his chin, he raised both fists, then advanced toward Duff. The two men danced around the barroom floor exchanging blows, or rather, attempted blows. Duff learned early in the fight that he could hit Alexander at will. That was because Alexander was so big and so confident of his strength that he made no attempt to block Duff's blows, willing to take them in order to get into position to return the blow. And he seemed to be taking them with no ill effect. Duff, on the other hand, bobbed and weaved as Alexander tried roundhouse rights, straight punches, and uppercuts. Finally, Alexander connected with one of his attempts, a straight shot that Duff managed to deflect with his left shoulder, thus avoiding a punch to his head. And, even though it was not a direct hit, there was so much power in the blow that Duff felt his left arm go numb, which meant he could no longer count on that arm to ward away any more of the big man's punches. Duff knew he was going to have to end the fight soon, so he bobbed and weaved, watching for an opening. The opening came after Alexander tried another roundhouse right. Duff managed to pull back from it, and as Alexander completed his swing, it left the opening Duff was looking for. Duff pulled the trigger on a straight whistling right that drove his fist into Alexander's Adam's apple. Alexander gagged and put both hands to his throat. When he did so, Duff followed with a hard right to the chin that sent Alexander down to join Donald, who was just now getting up, but showing no interest in continuing the fight. For a long moment, everyone in the bar looked on with shock and amazement. The Summerleds had a reputation for fighting, something they did frequently. And, because they were the sons of the sheriff, they never had to pay any of the consequences that others of the county had to pay when they engaged in the same activity. They seldom lost a fight, and yet here, in front of an entire inn full of witnesses, one man, Duff MacCallister, had taken the measure not just of one of them, but of all three, and at the same time.